If know these two characters you do, then true Star Wars fan you are. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you don't mind. Today I'm on the Han Solo tip, bringing to you one of my most favorite passions, one of my most favorite pastimes, and that is Star Wars. Today we're going to be reviewing Obi Wan Kenobi and Han Solo, which were just released on the Vintage Collection not very long ago. I finally got my shipment in, and I will be adding them to my collection over here. And what this is a nice little diorama of A New Hope figures that originally came out, during the very first movie, Star Wars. I do have the retro style figures at the very bottom of the original 12. Now, I do want to say these are repro versions from the retro line that Hasbro released a few years ago. It is all 12 again, but the repro versions of them. And what I wanted to do was to commemorate A New Hope by obviously having the retro collection at the bottom over here with the original style looking figures, along with their vintage collection counterparts at the top over here. So again, we have quite a few figures here. We have Princess Leia, R2D2, Chewbacca, the Tusken Raider, also known as the Sand People. We have Luke Skywalker. We have C3PO. We have the Jawa. We have a Stormtrooper. We have one of the sky pilot, dark pilots, I believe, and then we have Darth Vader as well, of the vintage collection, and then all of the rest at the bottom for the retro line, including Obi Wan Kenobi and Han Solo from the retro line there as well. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna open up these bad boys over here and add them to my collection. I've been waiting on these figures for actually quite some time to finally add them to my diagram over here. The only one I do have to say that I'm still waiting on for the original movie from New Hope is going to be the C3PO. This C3PO that's currently sitting at the top part of the vintage collection is actually part of Empire Strikes Back, and I look forward to adding a C3PO from A New Hope to my collection as well. But before that, let's not break tradition, because I know everybody has grown accustomed to what we typically do on the podcast, and that is to open up some stacks. So let's do that first. I have a Japanese pack here, provided to me by my family members Isha and Amisha. So I'm going to be going ahead and opening this up and hope for a hit. So let's open up this stack. So for something good. All right. Oh, there goes Obi-Wan. Oh, I like meditate. Okay. All right. Nothing big to reveal today, but that's okay, because our biggest reveals are going to be, again, Obi Wan Kenobi and Han Solo. Alrighty, first up, we're going to be opening up Obi Wan Kenobi, who fell a little earlier. Must have been eager to be revealed and opened up and added to my diagram over here. But take a look at that card, beautiful card from A New Hope. So let's go ahead and open this up, and then see how it looks on the inside. And here he is, the great Ben Kenobi, Obi-Wan Kenobi in all of his glory. A beautiful looking figure with quite a bit of detail and articulation from the vintage collection line. I do have to say I'm thoroughly impressed with what Hasbro's put out for Obi-Wan Kenobi. If I show you over here, actually, Hasbro had actually also released Luke's Landspeeder as well earlier this year. And depicted in this Landspeeder, I have an older version of Obi-Wan Kenobi from the vintage collection. And if I were to compare the two, I would say the detail and the depiction of Obi-Wan Kenobi in this version, I would say, is a lot better. I do like the imaging of the face the scaling and everything that comes along with it in this version of the figure. I think it's done very, very well. But yeah, Obi Wan Kenobi, I do have to say, is one of my most favorite Jedis. Not to say that he's one of my most favorite characters, but definitely one of my favorite Jedis in the Star Wars legends and epics and such. Very powerful. Unfortunately, he met his demise against Darth Vader in the very first movie, but then we also got an inside look of Obi Wan Kenobi throughout the sequel trilogy, as well as through the Clone Wars, as well as through his own series, the Obi Wan Kenobi series, where we also get to see a younger version of Princess Leia. So again, thank you Hasbro for releasing this version of Obi Wan Kenobi. I'm thoroughly impressed. Next, we're going to be opening up Han Solo as well, and quick reveal there as well to add to our little diagram. Here is the Obi Wan Kenobi set over here, the retro collection and the vintage collection close-ups as well, and their faces. All right, last but not least, it's time to reveal the Han Solo that was also released along Obi Wan Kenobi from A New Hope. This is a beautiful looking Han Solo figure, a lot more detailed than previous attempts at Han Solo. I do like his hair in this one, and I feel as though previous iterations of Han Solo may have been a little bit skinnier in terms of the body itself, but this one here I think hits quite a few marks. So let's open up Han Solo. Quick reveal there, and also add him to our diagram here. As you can see, I've already added Obi Wan Kenobi as well. So that's up in our next segment. And here he is, the man, the myth, the legend, who was able to do the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs, Han Solo. I also want to firstly shout out the card back here. Beautiful card back produced by Hasbro. I think it looks very nice with a green pill. And of course, the star of this segment, Han Solo. Beautiful looking figure, ample articulation. Face scan was definitely a hit. And the hair, which in some iterations I felt as though lacked a little bit of originality and authenticity, versus this version over here, I think they did a great job in capturing Han Solo. What I noticed, I'm not too much of a Black Series collector. For those watching that aren't the biggest Star Wars fans, especially collectors of the figures, the Black Series is the 6-inch figures versus the 3 3/4 inch figures is what the vintage collection and the retro collection lines are. 3 3/4 inches again are of this size, of this magnitude. They are the size that original toy collectors would be, gravitated towards. This is what original figures sizes were. Now they have modernized into the 6-inch line, which is again one of Hasbro's main line, the Black Series. A few months ago, if not last year, Obi Wan Kenobi, I believe, and definitely Han Solo was released in the 6-inch Black Series line. And this right here, to me, from what I've seen at least, it seems to be a scaled down version of that 6-inch line Black Series figure to now the 3 3/4 inch vintage collection line. So lots of similarities between the two figures. Obviously the sizing is different, and for myself, as a 3 3/4 inch figure, that's 3.75 inches. I'm very happy with the production of Han Solo that I can finally add to my diagram and complete this collection, at least for now, until they give us a new C-3PO in the A New Hope line. So again, this is Han Solo over here. Very well done, Hasbro. Thank you again for releasing this figure. Very well done. For those curious, here is an up-close look at both the retro Han Solo as well as the new vintage collection Han Solo. A little close-up on their faces. That's them there. And here they are, almost in a complete diagram now. Obi Wan Kenobi, Han Solo, added officially to the A New Hope diagram. So thank you again, Hasbro, for putting these figures out. That pretty much closes out my diagram, except for C-3PO. So please, release that when you can. I wanted to say that sometimes hobbies can turn into passions. And in my case, Star Wars happens to be that. I was very fortunate at a young age to be introduced to Star Wars by some older cousins who had lent me some DVDs, and through those, I was able to discover a whole new world, a whole new galaxy far, far away. And for that, I am eternally grateful because I found a passion, I found a hobby that I continue to expand on. With that being said, again, I've watched all of the movies, kept up with most of the TV shows, and I'm now more recently trying to keep up with the comic books that are coming out as well. So please, if you get the opportunity, read some of the comics. They're great. Myself, I look forward to the Mandalorian and Grogu film finally come out. I'm a big fan of the predecessor of the film, and that's the 3 seasons of The Mandalorian. Season 1 definitely broke records on Disney Plus. Season 2 was definitely my favorite season. It had excerpts of Star Wars Rebels, which is one of my favorite shows. Season 3, definitely a big fan of the season. It had some portions of the season where I wasn't too fond of, but at the end of the day, it's Mandalorian and a great series. So again, I can't wait for the Mandalorian and Grogu film. Please expect a full review for when I do watch the movie. And yeah, that's been my piece on Star Wars today. Please follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Hit us up whenever you can. As always, I've been Stephen Prasad of the PRASODCAST. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe. And if you would increase the algorithm. Thank you.